Chirpfire, when asked if this Four Nations tournament should give players some juice for the rest of the NHL season, Brad Marchand said, "I don't know, dude. I'm not thinking about that right now."
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, I don't know. It's just a bad look to say that. Like, Brad, say, yeah, we have 25 games to go. We're fighting for our lives with the Bruins. That when that time comes and we get back next Saturday, it's all guns blazing. But right now, playing for Team Canada, this is a lot of fun. Playing for my country means a lot to us, and we're gonna go get it. That's all he has to say. Instead of, I don't know, dude.
He probably could have handled it better. But I mean, it's kind of a weird question at the same time. Like, why would this, like, you as a single guy, why would this help your team? It's just one guy coming back. It's not like the entire team played in it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not like the Bruins team played in this tournament and it could carry over to everyone. Like, right. So yeah, maybe Brad Marchand will play better, or Charlie McAvoy, or maybe Elias Lindholm. But the rest of the team hasn't played in 2 weeks. So how is it going to carry over to them? Like, it's a weird question. So, I mean, I think he could have handled it better. I think he could have answered it better. But at the same time, like, it's kind of a weird question to ask, I feel like.
No, it is. It is a kind of a baiting question, or it seems as though it is, like, almost like saying, is this more important than the Bruins season? Like, kind of thing. Like, you're setting them up for failure. So I get that. But it probably could have been handled better. But Marchand and those guys are all fired up about this. So they probably don't want to think about the NHL right now for 2 weeks. They just want to concentrate on this. And
Does
I get that too.
Connor have something to say?
Yeah. So I actually was making dinner before the show and was watching some hits from TSN and Sportsnet. And Chris Johnson and Pierre LeBrun were on a TSN hit. And Chris Johnson said something interesting about Marchand and said, he's probably sitting in this locker room and thinking about how this might be the last meaningful game that he plays in the TD Garden. And then Pierre LeBrun then chimed in and said, well, maybe even the Canadian Maple Leaf itself on the front of the jersey. But Chris Johnson was also one that had chimed in previously on the Brad Marchand potentially being moved. Mm-hmm. So to hear him say that again, kind of, I don't know. It makes me wonder. We've already kind of went down that rabbit hole. But
I'll be honest with you.
Together.
I think Marchand's getting traded. I still think it is. I've thought that before. I'm not getting off of it. I think he's getting traded. And all the signs lead up to him getting traded.
Yeah, I mean, they should. Uh-huh. They should, if they want to rebuild and retool. But like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. I really will. I don't think it'll happen, because I just don't think Sweeney has the balls to make that kind of a move. So I don't think it will. I don't think it ultimately will happen. But I do agree, though, that it could be, his last time playing for Team Canada. I mean, who's to say he's going to make the Olympic team when it rolls around? Because he's getting up there in age, and there's other guys. Certainly, Canada has a deep talent pool. He might not make it. So this could be his last game for Team Canada, and he's probably trying to soak that in and whatnot. I get that. And possibly, I guess, could be, if he asks out, the Bruins have to do him a solid, I feel like. So it could be his last meaningful game at TD Garden. We'll see.
Do you think there's any way, as Hasmek says here, that Marchand retires at the end of the season?
No.
I don't think so either. I think he plays another 3 years, or wants to play another 3 years.
I think he'll play more. I don't know how much more, but he'll play more. He's still pretty good. Like, he's still pretty good. So, he can add something to a team.
Patrice Bergeron retired before he sucked too.
He did, but Bergeron and maybe Marchand will feel the same way, but Bergeron had a lot more injury stuff towards the end. I feel like, I know Marchand's coming off of a lot of surgeries here, but prior to that, I think he was relatively healthy for a while. I mean, the hip, I guess, was a chronic thing, but overall, he hasn't had a ton of concussions or anything like that. So, maybe he's willing to stick it out a little bit longer.
I think there's a lot of juice there left, and I think he plays, and I think he gets traded, and I think he's going to go in as much as Don Sweeney is a what do you say, a sackless bag,
goof.
sackless goof. I think Marchand goes into it and says, I request to be traded, and Sweeney does him a solid because you love your core players and you do whatever you can for them. So he trades him. I really think it's going to be Marchand's call, and Sweeney's going to be trading him. And I think it's happening because of a lot of the things that have happened over the course of the year. Yeah, starting with Swayman and the comments he made about that, to the Pastrnak thing with Rich Keefe, which I think had a little bit of juice to it. I don't know how much, but there was something there. This here with saying, well, it'd be weird not to play with the Bruins. Not like there's no way in hell I'm never playing with anybody but the Bruins. And now this is just, I don't know. It's all adding up to he's being too wishy-washy for me to believe that he's firm in staying with the Bruins.
You know what else is interesting is comments from other guys in the locker room talking about Marchand and his leadership and how well he leads. Like Cale Makar came out and was like, I love the guy. Like he's keeps the locker room loose. He says things that need to be said, and so it's interesting.
And who does Makar play for?
I know, plays for the
Colorado Avalanche, who also has Nathan McKinnon, who is from Nova Scotia.
Yeah. So there's some stuff there, but it's interesting to hear him talk about Marchand, where we and others have maybe questioned his ability to lead this particular Bruins team, and maybe it's really not maybe it's not a Marchand problem. Maybe it's a rest of the team roster.
I think it's probably more of that than Marchand. I don't think it's a Marchand problem.
Right.
I think it's the rest of the team problem. I think there's probably a faction that has. It's like a Pastrnak Marchand two sides thing. Marchand wants to lead and hold Pastrnak accountable and other players accountable, and Pastrnak kind of does his own thing. And I think that's where some of that rift came from. I don't think they hate each other. I just think that when it comes to team atmosphere, they have two different philosophies. And Marchand's a give it every night kind of guy, and Pasternak's more of a flashy finesse European type player.
Sure.
And it's two different ways of playing and philosophies. And Bergeron probably kept that thing together. And now that he's gone, it kind of wilted a little bit. But again, I don't think they hate each other. I just think that they don't exist all that well in the locker room and ice. And I think that Marchand's more open than ever to leave. I do. And we're going to see on March 7th. And I'll be on this very program telling you all that I said so. And gladly. And I'll be happy about it because I'll get some friggin' assets for him so they can turn the page. Do you know what I'm saying? Like turn the page.
I hear you.
I don't need to see Brad Marchand finish out his career on a shitbag team and have to do this every night, talking about Brad Marchand hanging on too long and your team sucks. I don't want to do that. No. So as much as I like Marchand, I do. And I appreciate what he did, and his number can go up there and all that stuff. But ship him out and get some assets. He's the one guy you have, other than your core you're not going to trade. He's the one guy you have who can get you some real assets in return. Do it.
I agree.